For thousands of years, humans have looked up at the night sky, pondering the mysteries of the universe. The stars, the planets, the moon, these celestial bodies have fascinated us since the dawn of civilization. Yet, while we've learned so much about the cosmos, the very first astronomers, the people who laid the foundation of our understanding of the heavens, often remain nameless and forgotten. These early astronomers were not scientists as we know them today. They didn't have telescopes or space probes. Instead, they relied on careful observation, intuition, and a deep connection with the natural world. Their methods were rudimentary, but their contributions are fundamental to the way we understand the universe now. In this story, we'll explore the untold history of these early astronomers, the civilizations they belonged to, and how their discoveries helped shape the course of human history. Our story begins in the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia. The people of Sumer, Akkad, and later Babylon were among the first to systematically observe the sky. They didn't have telescopes, but they were able to track the movements of the stars and planets with remarkable accuracy using only the naked eye. The Babylonians were masters of this art. Their priests kept detailed records of the positions of the stars and planets, observing how they shifted over time. They noticed patterns, rhythms in the sky, and began to predict the motions of celestial bodies. Their meticulous observations were written down on clay tablets, some of which have survived to this day. One of their most significant contributions was the creation of the zodiac, a system that divided the sky into 12 sections based on the positions of the stars. This system of constellations became the foundation for Western astrology, and its influence can still be seen in modern astronomy. But the Babylonians didn't just track the stars for entertainment or divination. They used their observations to create an incredibly accurate calendar, predicting the phases of the moon and the cycles of the sun. Their observations were critical for agriculture, as they determined when the seasons would change and when the annual flooding of the Euphrates and Tigris rivers would occur, enriching the land. In fact, it was through the careful observation of the stars that the Babylonians were able to predict eclipses, a feat that amazed and terrified people in the ancient world. These predictions were more than just scientific endeavors, they were seen as messages from the gods. While Mesopotamia was developing its astronomical expertise, ancient Egypt was also making groundbreaking discoveries. The Egyptians had a strong connection with the stars, and their understanding of astronomy was intricately linked to their religion, architecture, and daily life. Perhaps the most famous astronomical event in Egyptian history was the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. Every year, as the star rose just before dawn, it signaled the beginning of the annual flooding of the Nile River. This event was critical for Egypt's agricultural economy, as the floodwaters brought fertile soil to the region, allowing the Egyptians to grow their crops. The Egyptians' ability to predict the flooding of the Nile was a direct result of their astronomical observations. They closely tracked the position of Sirius in the sky, and their knowledge of the star's movements helped them plan for the flood. This knowledge was vital for their survival. The Egyptians didn't just observe the sky, they built their architecture to reflect their understanding of the heavens. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, was aligned with remarkable precision to the stars, demonstrating the Egyptians' ability to map the cosmos with an accuracy that still amazes modern scientists. But perhaps the most important contribution of the Egyptians to the field of astronomy was their development of a calendar. By closely observing the cycles of the moon, the sun, and the stars, they created one of the earliest known solar calendars. This calendar helped them organize their agricultural and religious practices and set the foundation for future civilizations. As we move into the classical era, we come to ancient Greece, where astronomy took a dramatic leap forward. The Greeks were the first to approach astronomy not just as a set of observations, but as a scientific discipline. They didn't just want to know where the stars were, they wanted to understand why they were there. One of the earliest Greek astronomers, Thales of Miletus, is often credited with the idea that the stars and planets were not controlled by the gods, but by natural forces. This was a revolutionary idea, as it shifted the focus of astronomy from mythology to science. Thales was followed by Anaximander, who proposed that the Earth was a floating cylinder suspended in the center of the universe. While his model was far from accurate, it was a step forward in trying to understand the Earth's place in the cosmos. But it was the philosopher Pythagoras who made one of the most important early contributions to astronomy. He believed that the universe was governed by mathematical laws, and that the motions of the planets and stars could be described by numbers. This idea, that the universe had an underlying mathematical order, would eventually lead to the development of the field of physics. The most famous of all Greek astronomers, however, was Aristotle. He is often remembered for his belief in a geocentric universe, with Earth at the center and everything else revolving around it. While this idea was later disproven, Aristotle's work laid the groundwork for centuries of astronomical thought. But it wasn't just the Greeks who contributed to the birth of astronomy. The Egyptians and Babylonians had already laid the foundations, and it was the Greeks who took those early observations and tried to build a rational, scientific understanding of the cosmos. They were the first to see the sky not just as a source of wonder, but as a puzzle to be solved. As we move through history, we see that the key to early astronomy was not technology, but observation. These ancient astronomers didn't have telescopes, and they didn't have modern instruments. What they had was their eyes, their minds, and their determination to understand the stars. The Babylonians, Egyptians, and Greeks all used careful observation to map the movements of the stars, track the cycles of the moon, and predict the changing of the seasons. They watched the heavens not just for signs and omens, but as a way to understand the universe and their place in it. In many ways, the earliest astronomers were more like modern-day explorers. They were charting unknown territory, using their observations to navigate the mysteries of the cosmos. The contributions of these early astronomers were not just important in their time, they laid the groundwork for the future of science. Their observations and theories would influence generations of scientists, from Copernicus and Galileo to Kepler and Newton. In fact, the very way we study the stars today owes much to these early pioneers. Modern astronomy, with its advanced telescopes and space probes, is built upon the foundation of knowledge that was first laid by the Babylonians, Egyptians, and Greeks. But perhaps the greatest legacy of these early astronomers is their determination to understand the universe. They were not content to simply look at the stars, they wanted to know what they meant, why they moved, and what role they played in the grand design of the cosmos. Today, we look at the night sky with the benefit of centuries of knowledge, but we should never forget that the stars we gaze upon were once a mystery to those who came before us. And without their observations, their questions, and their discoveries, we might never have come to understand the vastness and beauty of the universe. So, the next time you look up at the stars, remember the ancient astronomers who, with only their eyes and their minds, began the journey of exploration that would lead to our modern understanding of the universe. The stars above us aren't just celestial bodies. They are the legacy of the first astronomers who dared to dream of the cosmos and whose curiosity shaped the world we live in today.